Hey everybody, just doing a quick update. I think I finally finished the chair and I'm ready to move on to the sculpt on the guy. This has taken me a little longer than I wanted to, but I spent a little bit more time sanding him. He's kind of pretty good to where I'd like it now. I used a more coarse sandpaper and I think it's gotten most of the larger imperfections out. And then what I've done, you can probably see, is I did put a skull up here. Now, it's interesting, I'll be completely honest. I mean, this took me much longer to do this skull than I thought it would. It was actually a lot more difficult than I expected. Now, part of that is I have done faces, I've done like a human face where all I had was really a stump to work off of, and I just kind of did all the features, and I thought, that would have definitely been harder. Maybe it was, it's been a little while since I've done it, but because I actually did this skull and I didn't really have like a base to do it on, like I didn't have like, let's say, some green stuff like on this plate and then doing the skull over it to attach to have some firmness to already work on. I just sort of did the skull just as a piece of clay, solid piece of clay. Every time you sort of move one area, then like the other area moves, and then when you move the other area back, the other area moves. It's one of those things that you sort of deal with when you're learning, I suppose. But overall, like, I'm pretty happy with that as a skull. I also put rivets in on the sides here, and some rivets just on the plate here in the front. So I find that makes it a little bit more industrial looking. Happy with that. One of the rivets came off after I fired it, and so I actually put a green stuff one on there. One of the things that I found out in the process is when trying to put small pieces of clay and shape them into rivets on pre-existing fired clay, it was really hard to get them to stick. I mean, they really flatten out easily, turn to sheets of clay, slide off. It was really piddly. It took me a long time. The green stuff one took me seconds to achieve. This is something that took me 5 minutes, with a rivet. Like, it was just ridiculous in some cases. So I may, if I ever do it by hand again like that, just use green stuff for the rivets on the afterwards, because it was just stickier and just worked better. The other thing, I'd be interested for those of you that may have done this kind of thing before. I mean, I've had some great comments from folks on the last video, and from folks that have more experience in sculpting than me, and so I appreciate that. I was thinking, particularly if they're not spaced really far apart, maybe the ideal way for me to do a rivet on some surfaces is to try to find like a stamp. What I mean by that is, if I could get something that had sort of an indentation in the size of a rivet that I wanted but was flat around it, if I would just put a little bit of clay, I could like stamp it, and then if it was sticky enough, I could then sort of cut around it and just scrape off the rest of it and have like a uniform rivet all over. These are not uniform. I mean, because they're small enough, and the hope is that just with the naked eye, like, they look okay, just making them somewhat comparable in size, and just overall they average out. But if I wanted them to be more perfect, or just at least more reproducible, maybe some sort of stamp mechanism would work. I guess it also depends on how tight you get them together, close together and things. So I'm just kind of thinking about that. But overall, like, I don't know, I didn't really know what I was expecting when I started this process. I was expecting a throne, but I don't really know overall. Like, I kind of did the design as I went along for the most part. So now when I put him in there, well, he's got his pegs on there, so I have to lift it up. I'm gonna have to tweak him a bit, but that's basically gonna be the guy. I'll probably have him lean forward a little bit so you can see the skull a little bit like that. So that'll be really cool, like in the night. So this is be the most work that I've probably done for something that you're never going to see unless I open the top up. But it's that kind of stuff, those little details, and it's kind of just a fun project, so it is what it is. So yeah, I might bend him forward just a little bit in his seat, or his posture, and then I can see it better. The other question I do have for folks out there, anybody that knows anything about casting, I was kind of thinking it'd be nice before I paint it up if there was an easy way for me to cast this. Now I shamefully I should research this more, and I have watched lots of videos on casting, and I probably have seen stuff that I've already forgotten. But I kind of wondered whether I should be doing like a press mold or like a drop casting method, or like a what they call like a two-part pour or something. And and I'm not really sure. Like, I'm pretty sure the press mold's not the way to go with something like this, because it's not very flat. I was thinking, because I don't really need the detail on the bottom, like the bottom can just be flat and just be nothing, that having something where I have an enclosure and I'm dropping something in to then raise up and try to capture all the detail might be the way to go, like for a mold. I don't know if anybody has any like kind of quick resources for a quick and dirty idea on how to cast this. In case I get another night, I wouldn't mind using this again and just not having to sculpt it again. So yeah, any thoughts on that would be appreciated. Yeah, so other than that, that's my update. I think I'll just leave it at that for the Nick's New Year Painting Challenge. I've got one of the key pieces in here, for the cockpit. I'm going to start working on the guy. I think now that I've been working with this, it'll go a bit quicker for the rest of the cockpit, because I am going to do some computer screens and consoles, but I think I could probably do those really fast now, relatively speaking. Next I'll be working on him, so the next update will be him with clay on him, starting to work on the same kind of clay. Okay, take care everybody.